Okay, guys, we're going to get started. We are live tonight. We are being recorded, so if you're here with someone else's husband or wife, you can go ahead and leave. Otherwise, I'm not going to be a witness to any murder.
It's different ages, because I don't know how many years I have to return. I know it probably don't be
Once again, for those of you that just come in, my name is
age
Bailey.
67.
Again, I thank you all for being here this evening. I thank the Lord for holding the reins so we could get in without the votes. I had them ready, but I've got them on standby. How many of you, this is your very first time to ever attend a financial dinner seminar? Anyone first time? First time? Okay. For those of you, a few of you, for those of you that have been before, we hope that you will not be bored. We hope that you will learn something tonight. The whole purpose of this presentation is to share information, to help you have an opportunity, even if it's just a second opinion. Maybe you have your retirement everything to the T and it's all set up. Well, it'd be good to hear it from someone else neutral, and you know that little bit of peace of mind that you have things right. There's no obligation to anything this evening except, here comes the bug. I've only been doing this for 35 years, so I still get nervous in front of crowds. So every once in a while you have to smile and nod, or I will call on you and ask you what I just said. So every once in a while, just give me a little nod to know I'm on track and you're okay. Good deal? Okay. When you came in, my assistant, y'all met Mary. She was signing you in. Israel, some of you spoke with him. They are both financial advisors within the Bailey Retirement Group. Mary's outside for anyone that comes late so she can boo them out there. Y'all won't know. And tonight I'm happy because we have a special guest. This gentleman back here in the make sure you behave chair, that's my better half of 33 years, Glenn. And very quickly, a little funny story. I met him, I was working at the DuPont Corporation many years ago, and he was working there. He was from Kentucky, and I didn't hold that against him. He was here working in construction, and so he began to tell me some things about money and how money worked, and I'm thinking, I work for DuPont. You're a construction worker, what do you know about how money works? Well, the more he talked, the more I learned, the more fascinated I was with the information and the knowledge. So he introduced me to the financial service industry. He was in it for a while and hired me in the business, trained me in the business, married me in the business, left me in the business, and went back to construction and finished his 43-year career as an electrician. And then he retired and came back to work with me for a week, and I fired him. I said, it's not big enough for 2 chiefs, and I'm the chief, and I need more Indians. So he said, I'll go to work for our son, who owns his own company, and he operates heavy equipment. And so I told him, hey, what you doing, playing in the dirt? Because that's what they do all day long. But I'm happy he was able to be here tonight because they were semi-rained out. But more on to our presentation. You were given a blue sheet. You were asked to fill out the front portion. That is in the event we're audited for all the money that we spend with the restaurants doing our presentations. We have to be able to validate. That is not to telemarket you. That is not to sell, share, or anything with your information. It stays within our possession in our office. It is not shared or given out. So don't be scared to put your real birthday, your true phone number, or your address. We're not going to come to see you, nor the IRS. If you have a cell phone, if you would please put those on vibrate, I would really appreciate that, because when they go off, sometimes we lose our train of thought, and then we have to catch back up. If you have questions tonight, we gave you some extra paper on the table. That is for you to write down your questions. The restaurant does not permit us enough time, nor would you stay and listen to me for 2 or 3 hours to answer questions. So if you'll write those down, everyone that attends our dinner seminar are entitled to a free 1-hour consultation in our office. That is when we will answer every one of those questions for you. Tonight, if you ask a question and I don't know the whole story, I'd have to give you my opinion, and I don't think too many of you want my opinion. You want facts and knowledge. So there is no obligation when you come to the office. You're not going to be under obligation to buy anything. You're not even gonna be under obligation to sell anything, because I'm not buying it. But it will be a good time for us to get to know each other and share some answers to those questions. If you would keep your conversations to a minimum, it helps me be able to speak loud enough, and it helps everyone to be able to hear and stay on track. On the back of your blue sheet, there are 6 topics. We're going to cover those 6 topics tonight. There is no way I can go in depth on each one of them. It will be like an appetizer. It will give you some information maybe you haven't thought about, or maybe you thought about it and didn't know who to talk to. We'll go over those. Please put a check mark by the ones that are the most concerning to you, or that you have the desire for more information. That way I can better prepare for when you're coming into the office. During the presentation this evening, we will talk about how the coronavirus will affect your retirement plans, creating supplemental income you cannot outlive. The beauty of supplemental income that you cannot outlive, some of you already have that. You have a Social Security check. You cannot outlive it. It will pay until you what? Die. And anyone and everyone that says, but they're gonna go broke, they're gonna run out of money. As long as there's politicians in Washington, they will not run out of money because they print it like water. Okay? And they cannot stop printing for Social Security. We have too many people in this country that live on nothing but Social Security. It's not going to run out of money, but it will probably need some assistance because there are more people drawing it than there are people working and paying into it. We'll talk more about that. Annuities. Learn the advantages and what? That means what? There's good annuities and there may be bad annuities. Well, maybe they're not bad, maybe they're just bad for you. You should always know what your goals are, your concerns are, what you're trying to achieve with your money. So it could be a disadvantage to put your money into something you don't know how it works, you don't understand how it works, and what's worse is sometimes the people selling them don't know how they work. Is there a possibility they may do, they may offer you something that's not in your best interest because they didn't know or they didn't understand what you were looking for? Annuities are not bad, but they're not right for everybody. Fair enough? Okay. Your best protection against inflation, higher taxes, and rising health care costs. Anyone believe there will be more inflation? Higher taxes? Yes. How about our health care? Is it going to go up in cost? Yes. Only every day. The Secure Act. How will this new legislation impact your retirement savings, your 401k, your IRA accounts, and there are many others? TSP, Thrift Savings Plan for military and some entities. There's 403B, 457. But the Secure Act, the new legislation, is going to have an impact on all of them. So if you're not aware of that, we can certainly answer questions and help guide you through that. After the presentation, Mary and I will come around and pick up your blue sheet. We ask that you mark your first choice, second choice, and third choice for your 1 hour free consultation. We average 2 to 3, sometimes 4 presentations a month. Our schedules stay very full. We want to give everyone the benefit of plenty of time. If you schedule a time and you have a conflict, you get home, there's doctor's appointments, church activities, or you still work, all we ask is that you just please call the office, let them know that you need to change. We'll work with your second and third choices. When we come around this evening, if someone before you's already selected the time you want, please work with us on the second time, okay? But we will pick those up at the end of the presentation. I started the company 35 years ago. This coming August will be 35 years ago. And it was from what I said. I knew how to work hard for money. I was raised on a farm with 5 siblings, and my parents raised vegetables, animals, and humans. So they taught us how to work hard. My father and mother never had a lot of money. They were what we call land rich and cash poor. but we never went hungry. And we always had our dignity and integrity. When we started this company, my husband and I, we wanted to be able to help people know how money works. You know how to work for it, but do you know how to have your money work for you? That's what it was all, one of the main reasons. We are members of the National Ethics Bureau, the $1 Million Roundtable, the Better Business Bureau, the Augusta and Aiken Chamber of Commerce. Anyone can be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. You just go down, pay your money, and you're a member. We are an accredited member. That means we've been a member, I don't believe 35 years, but over 30 years. We've never had a complaint. We've never had a complaint, and that's not easy to accomplish working in the public, is it, guys? Well, we've never had a complaint, and we're an accredited member for that. Okay. Let's talk about some historical data. If I had asked before I put the slide up there, what was the biggest downturn in the market you think we ever had? Most people say the Depression, 1929. But truthfully, October 19th, 1987 was the biggest one-day percentage drop in history. Now, if you can picture this really quick, I was a year in the business, learning how money works. I had my securities license, I had financial securities clients, and I was excited with ignorance. And the market went kaput, and I went, oh, what have I done? I left the plant. What am I doing? And I realized very quickly what I was doing was helping people learn how to prepare, because those things come again, do they not? That was the largest. The next was October 1929, but the one that's most frightening to me is the third line, the yellow line, March 16th, 2020. That was barely over a year ago, and it was right there with the 1929 Depression. Have you thought about it that way? Probably not, because most things like that, we don't read, study, and we're not involved in it every day, so it just kind of goes over our head. There were many other drops, as we can see. Let's take a look. Last year was a year of records. February, the market closed at an all-time high. First time in history, over 29,000 points. March 16th, largest one single day drop, almost 3,000 points. March 24th, largest single day market gain, over 2,000 points. And March 27th, 3 days later, the largest government stimulus package in history. $2.2 trillion was given out, handed out. Who pays that money back? Do you? The people who pay that money back are the retirees on fixed income and the workforce who are working and paying taxes.
Yep.
Disabled people do not pay taxes. Unemployed people do not pay taxes. Broke people, and I don't mean that ugly, I do. Y'all laugh. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a very blessed society. We have so much, but there are so many with so much less. They don't pay taxes because they don't have enough to pay taxes, okay? We all may complain about paying taxes, but we have to stop and give thanks that we have something to pay taxes on. That $2.2 trillion that's going to have to be paid back by the retirees and the workforce is going to have a definite impact on your retirement. Okay? Because what does it do? It drives up inflation, taxes, and health care. Let's take a look. What's the difference in the 2008 crisis and the 2020 crisis? 2008 was a financial crisis. It hit the banking industry, the auto industry, the mortgage industry, the workforce, and it took a large bite out of a lot of people's retirement accounts or savings accounts. What else did it do to the savings? Well, let's take a look, and we will later, at the bank returns. Isn't that depressing? What is the bank paying on our money? Less than 0.25%. But the 2020 crisis is a health crisis, pandemic, COVID. That's not going to go away anytime soon, and it's not going to recover like the market did. Unfortunately, the health crisis of the pandemic will go on for decades and decades and decades. And some things will never go back to the way they were or normal. Now we're going to stop for a second. Those were some kind of depressing slides. Now everybody's beginning to drop their shoulders and go, what are we going to do? We're going to do what we always do. We're going to survive, so we're going to look for answers. And here's some other things. The Secure Act, the required minimum distribution age was changed from 70 and a half to 72 and 19. Some people say to me, Irene, that is so good. We can let our money grow for another year and a half before we have to start taking required minimum. And for those of you that don't know, required minimum is when you have a traditional IRA or 401k, any type of retirement program other than a Roth IRA. Roth IRAs do not have required minimum, nor do they have taxation after it goes in and grows tax-free. I say, no, it's really sad that they moved it out. I wish they'd have moved it back sooner. And look at me kind of funny. Yeah, we should have started taking money off of our accounts at 65, maybe even sooner, because taxes were cheaper. The older we get, people say, that's when you want to turn on your income and do all this with your Social Security. Is it? Taxes go up every year. What are you going to pay on that money? More taxes. Taxes are cheaper today than they'll be next year. They'll be cheaper next year than the coming year. So the sooner you start gradually taking some of that money out, you reduce what you'll have to have out at 72 and a half, you reduce your taxation. There's now no age restrictions on IRA contributions. 401k for part-time employees started in 21. Corporations now can't keep you under the radar with just enough hours to not have to pay you benefits. Part-time employees are entitled to now participate in those retirement programs, 401ks and so forth. Stretch IRAs were eliminated. That one I really hated to see go. A stretch IRA means that if you have an IRA account, and ladies and gentlemen, if I throw a number out, it's not to impress you or depress you. I see people from every walk of life, from people that are unemployed to people who are doctors, lawyers, business owners. People that come in to talk to us about their little bit of money and they're panicked about how to make it last, to people who walk in our office with $2 million plus. And they're worried about what? I so appreciate that answer, because most everybody says taxes. No, they're just as concerned if it's going to last, because their lifestyle is determined by how much money they have, same as yours and mine. So when we talk about a stretch IRA, if you had an account with $500,000 in it, it's a 401k or 403b, you have $500,000 in it, you think, because your name's on it. And it says, this is your statement, this is your total. But that's not your money, only part of it. The federal government will get their part, and some. The state will get their part. If you have $500,000 account, you pull your money out, right now, you're going to be in approximately, depending on the state you live in, you're approximately 44% tax bracket. 37 for federal, and 7 here in the state of Georgia. That's how much? 43, 44%. So if you take that out of $500,000, you have a little over $260,000 out of $500,000. And they don't send that to the nursing home for your care. They don't send that to the utilities for your power bill. They put it in their pockets. Okay? You've got to know how you're going to live on what you have left after taxation, and then you've got to take inflation and health care as the #1 threat. Moving along, that stretch IRA that you had $500,000, you didn't spend it. You left it to your 2 children. Each one thinks they're getting $250,000. They're not. They're going to get about $130,000 because they'll get half each of what was left after taxes. If there was $260,000 after tax, each one's going to get about $130,000. But guess what? That's going to be added to their income. And if you're up in age and you pass in your late 70s, 80s, maybe even 90s, how old are your children? They're in their 60s and 70s. You just put them in a higher tax bracket now to pay taxes against what? Their Social Security, their pension. So if you don't look at the full picture in retirement, if you only look at bits and pieces, you're playing Russian roulette with your retirement. You have to be able to look at all of it. The only exceptions, that stretch IRA has to be eliminated within 10 years, except for a spouse, minor child, or disabled child. How many of us want to have minor children when we retire? Well, guess what? There are more seniors today raising their grandchildren than ever before in history. So it might be to their advantage, but for those of us that don't have that minor child or disabled child, that money's got to be out within 10 years. That means $500,000, $50,000 a year after tax. It just goes on. So now what? You're going to be in one of these three scenarios in most cases. How many in the room tonight are already, I didn't say tired, how many are already retired? Okay, so some of you are retired. How many are going to retire this year or hope to by December 31st? Not sure. How about in the next 5 years? There we go. Now those hands can go up. Hopefully. Absolutely. So you're going to be in one of those three scenarios. So we're going to be talking primarily to you tonight. If you're retired, before you retire, you're retired, you had to know you had a guaranteed stream of income. When you were going to retire, you said, well, I'll have my Social Security. That's X number of dollars. I'll have a pension. Most corporations don't offer pensions anymore. Most corporations back in the 70s said, hey, we're paying people their pension until they die and they're living too long. Let's put the responsibility on their back. Let's take it off of us. So they started what? IRA, Individual Retirement Account. Our individual responsibility to save for our own retirement. Some have done better than others. Some don't do any savings, and some save everything. There's everything out there. You have to determine what quality of life and style of life you want. Tax codes and Social Security. Most people don't find out about tax codes and Social Security until they already have a problem. You should know beforehand. We can help you with that. How many of you in the room, if you want to, raise your hand, do not have a will, trust, or any kind of estate plan? Okay, you don't have to. It's not to embarrass you. It is to embarrass you. Because if you don't have an estate plan, you have an estate plan. I'm not talking double. It means that you have probate. If you do not have a will, you go through probate, and the probate judge will determine who receives your assets, everything you worked for. So a will or any kind of estate plan is to tell that probate process who you want to receive your assets, when and how. If you have a will, I've had many people say, oh, I don't have to worry about probate, I have a will. I went and got my will. I go, guess what you have to do with your will? Or somebody has to do it.
Go to probate.
It's got to go to probate. It's just the direction or the roadmap for the probate judge now to know who you did want to receive your assets. But probate's coming, and the only person who does not have to go through, or their estate does not have to go through probate, is the person who has no property in their name, no vehicle in their name, no accounts in their name. If you have nothing, there is nothing to probate. But if you own a vehicle in your name, it's got to go through probate. If you have a life insurance and life insurance passes tax-free. But if you don't put a beneficiary on that document, it's got to go through probate. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot express how important it is to spend the money to get the proper document before you die for your assets. Long-term care plan. What is the long-term care plan for? It's for nursing home, assisted living, or in-home health care. I've been licensed to sell long-term care plans since 91, I believe it is. I've never sold one. I have no intentions of selling one. I'm not going to tell you they're bad. I am going to tell you in the beginning, you can get the most bang for your buck, or you can get the most coverage in your long-term care plan when you're young and healthy. When do you need a long-term care plan? When you're elderly, feeble, frail, okay? So what's wrong with the long-term care plan? It works like car insurance. Car insurance, you pay, it goes up. We pay, and it goes up. You have a claim, it goes up, or they cancel you. When you get to where you no longer drive, how much of that money do you get back from your car insurance? Nothing. You pay for in the event that you have a claim. Long-term care works the same way, traditional long-term care, unless you take an expensive, more expensive policy that has return of premium. And you can pay, and when you reach a certain age, they'll return the money to you and you no longer have a policy. That wouldn't be bad either, except most people cannot afford the increase to have a return of premium. We offer something, it's not a sales product, The hybrid provides long-term care protection, but if you never use it, you don't lose it. The hybrid plan is for in-home health care, assisted living, or full-blown nursing home. You go to sleep one night, you wake up an angel. Do you need long-term care? No. So your beneficiaries can receive a death claim if there's no spouse. If there's a spouse, that plan will continue for the spouse, and if they never use it when they pass away, the beneficiaries will receive a payout. Is that better? Well, what if along the way you win the lottery, inherit some money, or just say, you know what, I don't want this anymore? You can surrender it and get back a large portion of your money, and they tell you on day one how much that money is every year that you would surrender it. So it's never a surprise or shock. You know exactly what you would receive back. So if you need care, it will pay. If you want to surrender the contract, you get part of your money back. And if you don't use it and you pass away, they will pay a death claim. And the premiums never go up. When you take the plan, it never goes up. So there are no shocks or hidden surprises or sticker shock. If you're not working with a professional by your side, you're not going to know these things. I do not throw mud on any company or any other agency, but most brokers, most agents will not spend the time to help you learn all this. All they want to know is how much money do you have, can we put it under management in the stock market, or can we sell you a long-term care plan? Can we sell you something? Because that's what they do, and they're very good at it. And they help a lot of people, and they make a lot of people a lot of money. But did you sit down and see if it was in your best interest, and was it the plan that fits your goals and your needs? That's all I'm asking. Very quickly, now what? You're going to retire this year, know your budget. The only thing I'm going to take time, so I don't run out of time, to say on know your budget. A lot of times working with seniors and retirees, people will come in and say, I really don't need any help. I've got everything covered. I'm debt free. The mortgage is paid. The car is paid. We pay the credit card bill every month. We're okay. And I go, what's your budget? You know everything's paid. I know it didn't. What's your budget? Well, we make this much a month. I said, didn't ask you that. What's your budget? Most people don't know your budget is what you can't pay off, not what you did pay off. You cannot pay off your light bill, your water bill, your insurance, your taxes. You can't pay them all. We're going to have that bill till we die. So you got to know how much money has to come in every 30 days, regardless. It's got to come because that's survival. That's your living expenses. Well, I cover that with my Social Security. I cover that with this. I cover that. Okay, what's your plan B if you have to go to the nursing home? Well, I got $1 million. Do you? After tax, you got about 600,000. Well, let's see in a little bit how far that goes with long-term care. Medicare and Social Security. Medicare, when do you get Medicare? 65 or disabled. Social Security, when do you get Social Security?
62. You can start at 62.
Social Security starts at 60 if you are a widow and did not remarry and were married to your spouse for 10 full years. At 60, you can start drawing off your spouse. Guess what? If you were married 3 times, you were married 10 years to each one, that's 30 years. You can pick the one, but they're not dead now. Okay? You can pick the one you're going to draw against. If they're deceased, then you'll draw against your deceased husband. But you literally can draw from the one that you will get the most money from. Did you know that? Yeah. Don't go get married. No. I used to wonder why the movie stars all got married, but they missed the boat because they didn't stay married 10 years. That's right. So they didn't get it. Let's move along. So Social Security, there's a lot of wonderful advantages to Social Security, but it is not enough to live on. So we'll talk more about that. You want to lower your debt. Well, people were really focused on being debt-free at retirement, making sure the mortgage was paid. The interest rates went so low. Guess what people did? They refinanced their home. They put another mortgage on it. But the payment's so low and the interest is so low, but it's 30 years and you're 70. You're going to be paying that mortgage till you're 100. Oh no, the kids can worry about it. Okay. It's okay to take that equity out of your home if you know what you're taking it out for and you use it for good reasons. Maybe you take it out, put it into a retirement program so there's a higher income that will also cover that payment to that mortgage. Or you use it for long-term care, and you're right. When you pass away, you don't need the house, and in most cases, your children don't want it, and they don't want the hassle of having to sell it to get the money out of it to pay the taxes to see what's left over. And if there was a long-term care situation, they may have inherited the medical costs to go with it. So there's a lot more to think about. Prepare emotionally. It's not just about retiring and I'm home free, I can do anything I want. When we're working, we have 5-day work weeks, most of us 2-day weekends to spend money. When we retire, we're not prepared for it. Now we have 7 days to spend money and no days we're making money. So you need some guidance along the way. If you're going to retire within 5 years, you should know your retirement lifestyle. Check my time here. You should know your retirement lifestyle. For some people in retirement, they want to travel a lot. Some people want to do a lot more charitable things. Me, myself, I want a lot more money to spend on my great-grandkids. Okay? 1 son, 1 stepson, 4 grandchildren that are all grown now. The youngest one's 17, fixing to be 18. But I got a 2-year-old and a 4.5-year-old great-grand. That's my heart now. The mistakes I made on the first one, my young'un, okay, I tried to fix with my grandkids, and I found out you can't change them, okay? You can't. You love them like they are. God bless them. But them little ones, you can have fun with them. You can take them to Disney World, not tell them about it. Lots of wonderful things. So in retirement, what do I want to do? I want to spend more time with the people I love, doing the things we want to do, and that costs what? Money. So you best know where it's coming from. Make adjustments in your budget. Wherever you're wasting money, tighten the belt so that you can do those things you want to do in your lifestyle. Reduce or eliminate your mortgage. We've already talked about that. Contact a professional. Ladies and gentlemen, a professional is not necessarily someone that sits at a big desk behind a nice glass window with a title on the door that says, "Come on in, I'll be happy to help you. I'm just not going to tell you nothing. I'm going to tell you what I want you to know and how you should do it." You come to see us, we've got nice offices, we're very proud of them, but we don't put our money into fancy buildings. We put our money into education so we can help people. So you'll see a much bigger difference when you come to our office. Moving right along. solving the problems of living too long, guaranteed lifetime income. That is one of the most important statements I'll make tonight. It does not matter how much money you have, you can lose it, can you not? It matters how much income is coming every 30 days for those bills that do not go away. Lifetime income, Social Security pension, and then what you do through your individual retirement planning. Dying too soon. People die too soon. You work 30 years, you pay into Social Security for 30 years, you put 30 years into a corporation to get a pension. Excuse me. You pass away, who gets your Social Security check? A spouse can get it if they give up theirs. Wait a minute, we both pay. We both work. You can only keep one, the highest one, but you gotta give up the lowest one. Is that fair?
No.
That's life. Okay? How about dying too soon? You work 30 years, you're entitled to a pension. Who can receive the pension? Most pensions will only pay out to the spouse.
That's right.
And for the spouse to receive any of the pension, the one who worked has to give up part of that money. If you were entitled to $2,000 a month pension check, and you want to retire and leave something for your wife or husband, they say, well, if you'll take $1,500 a month, leave $500, and that's an example, leave $500 on the table. When you pass away, we'll give your spouse 50% of what you're receiving. So if you're receiving $1,500, they're going to get a $750 cut in pay because it's going to happen. You have a choice of 25%, 50%, 75, or 100%. You can leave more money on the table. You draw $1,200, you die, they'll receive $1,200. You take $1,500, they'll get $750. You do $1,700, they'll get. You got to leave it on the table. So here's my quick question to you. John and I'm not picking on no one here. John and Sue. John's going to retire. He's going to get $2,000 a month. He decides he's going to leave at least half for his wife, Sue. So he takes $1,500, he leaves $500 on the table. 500 times 12 is $6,000 a year. Times 10 years is $60,000. He's left $60,000, so she can start drawing $750 every 30 days. How long is it going to take to collect the 60? Oh, wait a minute. She's not going to get any of it. Because she passed before he did, so that 60's gone plus what he left on the table, and nobody will ever get any of that. And we can show you how, in some cases, to take all the money, don't leave any for the spouse, and leave them a big lump sum, tax-free. So would you rather get $750 a month taxable, or a big lump sum, tax-free? That's all we do is show you how it works. See, we know how to work for money. We don't know how money works. We don't know how insurance works. We don't know how annuities work. We don't know how this stuff works. So we go to somebody and give them all our money and say, make me some money. Don't matter how much you make, it's how much you get to keep.
That's right.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, getting sick along the way. Write this word down on your paper, well-being writer. When you come in for your pre-consultation, say, Irene, tell me about the well-being writer. How would you like to have a couple of $100,000 in your 401k account? You set it up for an annuity, fixed indexed annuity, set it up so you can have lifetime income when you get ready to start it. And when you put that money in, you're healthy. You can dress yourself, feed yourself, bathe yourself, eat without a feeding tube, continent, and mobile. You can transfer. You can do those 6 things. There's no medical, there's no doctor involved. You just have to, don't tell me if you're wearing the pants. Okay? You can do those 6 things. You put your money in 2 years later. You can't do those 6 things. 2. You can't do 2 of those 6 things. Guess what they do? The company will double every dollar in your account and pay you your check doubled up to 5 years guaranteed unless you die. If you die, they stop the payments and give the balance to the beneficiary. Who's losing in this deal? The insurance company. But don't worry, they're not losing. They're billionaires and they make more every day. They only have to make a little bit because they're working off of what? The biggest pool of money. We're not. So we have to learn how to work off of that pool of money. Ask me to tell you about the well-being later. Have you considered what is your largest expense in retirement years? Do you believe taxes will increase? Do you have a plan to defer taxes for more growth and create tax-free income in retirement? Do you think benefits will be lower in the future, such as Social Security, Medicare, and pensions? What is your plan to minimize the damage of taxation? What have you done to protect your biggest asset? Ladies and gentlemen, your biggest expense, oh, I gotta have myself. I gotta let you watch this little video, get some water. Our great grandchildren will not live long enough to pay that deficit off. The Bible tells us to leave an inheritance to our children. How are you going to leave an inheritance if you're spending it all to survive? You have to at some point put the brakes on, learn how money works, and turn it around for generations to come, and teaching your children, grandchildren, etc. Checkpoint number 1, we have about 15 minutes. I'm going to go through these a little bit fast, but I want you just to get the glimpse of it, and when you come in, we can sit and talk through any of your concerns. Checkpoint 1 is securing income for life. That's the money that's going to come every 30 days like clockwork. That will come from your Social Security, your pension if you're eligible for one where you work, and the third part of it is your 401k. Your 401k, you actually do own it and control it, but you have to pay taxes. From that, you can write the check to yourself out of that account until it reaches 0, and then you're going to learn to live on your Social Security if you don't have a pension. And if you have a pension, you'll resort back to that when your 401k is empty. Or you can take that 401k and put it into a lifetime vehicle just like Social Security and a pension does, and it pays to you till you die. Whenever you have that money from that 401k set up that way, you die before all the money comes out, your beneficiaries get every dollar that's still in there. They don't lose it like Social Security and a pension. You live long enough, if you draw every penny out, there's nothing left in there. There is nothing for a beneficiary that they can't stop your check till you die. It's guaranteed lifetime income to you, and the balance to your beneficiaries, whatever's there. Or you can just keep doing what everybody else is doing. Pouring our money out by the bucketfuls because we let other people control it. Risk to successful retirement. We all know that we all face risk. Why do we need secure, guaranteed income? For the things we can't pay off, for health care, for food. But here's some of the risks to having that income. Inflation risk, market risk, long-term care risk. I don't want to upset anyone tonight, but there's mortality risk. We are going to die. But how long before we die and how much money will we need? Nobody really knows that answer. We will need a lot. The problem with guaranteed income, it's not these risks, it's longevity. We outlive our money. We live long enough that after paying tax, inflation, and health care, we run out of money. Is Social Security enough to live on? Don't think so? This represents 2 people, 3 meals a day, $10 per meal, 30 days in a month, 12 months in a year, 20 years in retirement. Do you know what the answer to that is? $432,000. At the beginning of that 20 years, if you're paying $10 per meal, are you going to be paying $10 for that same meal 5 years later?
No.
10 years later? Well, that's based on just $10. It's $432,000. So if you're sitting here tonight and you say, well, I got $1 million, good, you're going to eat for 2 years. We can laugh, but that is the sad situation why people today are struggling. Okay? Fixed indexed annuities, what is the big deal about them? It protects and preserves your money, and it allows it to accumulate growth with guaranteed lifetime income. Not going to go into that a lot tonight, but I'm going to say that red line represents the stock market. The blue line represents a 2.5% fixed rate return, never no more, never no less, 2.5%. And the green line is what we do, fixed indexed annuities. You share in the growth, but you never lose a penny when the market goes down. And there are no fees on that. 0 fees, 0 risk. The green line is your guaranteed lifetime income line. The red line is your roller coaster called the stock market. With the stock market, you pay the fees and you take 100% of the risk. The broker never pays the fees, they collect the fees. And they never take a risk. They get paid on it when it goes in, when it goes up, when it goes down, and when you take money out. I'm not knocking brokers, they're like banks. We need banks, but we need them to park money for short term, so we're gonna spend it. We need brokers that are going to put us into the right vehicles, and as we age, it is not 100% in the stock market. It's okay to have some in there. We're going to look at it in just a moment, right here. Checkpoint 2, growth and extra income. Once you have enough vehicles in place, like insured deposits, CDs, government bonds, fixed annuities, indexed annuities, those are protected. Those are safe. They have no risk, excuse me, no fees. If you have your Social Security coming every 30 days, your pension coming every 30 days, and you can meet your obligations and you still have money left over, put some in the market. It's not bad, but you got to make sure that when the market goes down, you can still pay your bills. It did not take away from your income. Risk accounts, there's mutual funds, bonds, stocks, variable annuities, real estate investment trusts, exchange traded funds, and there are lots more. You be careful what you put your money in and how it works and who you're working with, but you do it after you've secured what you have to have every 30 days. Checkpoint 3, tax planning. Taxation of Social Security. We work 20, 30, 40 years, we pay into Social Security. Well, guess what? Your employer also pays in. They match a certain portion. All that money is being paid in. When you start drawing your Social Security, if you're single and you make $25,000 or less, you are not paying taxes on your Social Security. But if you go over $32,000, well, let me go down. Single, you go over $25,000 up to $34,000, you will pay your tax bracket against half of your Social Security. And if you're single and you make over $34,000, you'll pay your tax bracket against 85% of your Social Security benefits. Married couple does not pay tax against their Social Security if their annual adjusted income is below $32,000. There's not too many people in this room tonight probably living on $32,000 a year. So where does that leave you? Well, if you're 32 to 44,000, you're paying your tax bracket against half of your Social Security check. And if you're making over $44,000 a year adjusted gross income, you're paying your tax bracket against 85% of your Social Security check that you already paid taxes on and your employer matched it. The only one worse than that is my situation. I am my employer. I get a W-2 from the company. I take a check like everybody else working for the company. So I have to pay into my Social Security and I have to match it. And when I start drawing it, I haven't turned it on, and when I start drawing it, I'm gonna have to pay tax against it. But you know what? That doesn't bother me if they take that money and they take care of our widows, children, and veterans. But they're not. That's what my complaint is. Moving right along, inflation and taxes very quickly. In 1980, some of you in this room may have had, or some of your parents may have had CDs. They were making double digits. If you were getting a 17.7% return on your CD, you thought you were doing real good, except the taxes took 6.1. Well, that's okay, you still had 11.6, but inflation took 12.4, so you have a negative 0.8. You didn't know it because you have a statement from the bank that says you made 17% interest. This is what you made. And over here, we're going to send you a 1099 to go to the tax man so you can pay the taxes on it. And inflation's already took 12% through the year. If you bump it up to 2013, the bank's paying 1/10%. Does that sound like what we're still getting today?
Still same thing.
The taxes, 0.1%, and what's fixing to happen next year? We've been told they're going up. Inflation, 1.6. You have a negative 1.5. That's your real rate of return on your CD at the banks right now. Or worse, if you're in a higher tax bracket. Checkpoint 4, medical insurance. When you turn 65, unless you're disabled earlier, you get supplemental insurance and you get your Medicare card. Medicare, you have Part A, Part B. It'll pay up to 80% of the doctors in hospitals. Then you take a supplemental plan to pay the 20% that Medicare doesn't pay. Before you turn 65, they fill up your mailbox, your telephone rings off the hook, and you feel like everybody's looking at you when you go outside because they know you're turning 65 and they want to sell you an insurance plan. Part A, Part B. Which one are you going to take? Well, I don't know. Take the red one. I like the blue one. Well, that green one's kind of nice too. We have a gentleman who's worked with us since 2006. He is a supplemental Medicare specialist, and he takes care of free analysis. Even if you're past 65 and you're already in a plan, he'll give you a free analysis and say, you're in the right one, stay. You're in the right one, but you could be in a better one because of this. He'll give you a free analysis so you know if you're in the right one or the best one. I can assure you that people selling you the products are not going to tell you there's one better than what they're selling. Okay? Well, he's neutral and he will help you to identify. Checkpoint 5, long-term care planning. When we talk about long-term care, I'm going to back that up. Debbie, would you do me a favor? Okay. Would you mind getting up and picking John up out of that chair and sitting him over here for me?
I don't think so.
Okay. We don't have to be sick and need to go to the nursing home to need assistance. We will become frail if we live long enough. We will need assistance bathing, dressing, those things. We will be high risk for falls. We're going to need care in our home before we ever are considering a nursing home situation. I'm running out of time, but I'm going to tell you very briefly. 1997, my parents had stopped farming. They were running and operating a little small hole in the wall Exxon gas station. My dad ran it for 35 years. One morning my mom says, I'm not going to the store with you. He said, are you sick? She said, no, because they went every day. That's what they did for years. She said, I'm going to hang out at the house. He says, okay. A couple hours later, my dad couldn't reach my mom on the phone. A couple hours later, my dad couldn't reach my mom on the phone. He called me and he said, go check on your mom. Mom had had a massive stroke. It was too long for them to reverse anything. So mother was left paralyzed from the neck down. Okay? She was 74 years of age, good health, never been sick, worked circles around most people half her age. But that stroke left her body paralyzed, but her mind was fine. She had some short-term memory. She couldn't remember when she ate. She couldn't remember, but she knew who everybody was. She still had her right mind. Sometimes I'm not sure it was better or worse. But my mom, for 4.5 years, the doctors told my dad and I, the hospital said, have you decided which nursing home you're going to put your mother in? I speak English. What did you say? Have you decided which nursing home you're going to put your mom in? My dad and I said, Mom's going to the farm. She can't. You can't even leave her in the house and go down to the mailbox. If the house catches fire, she can't get out. She's got to have 7 24-hour care. Said to him, Mother's going to the farm. Mom went home. Mother lived 4.5 years. She had one bed sore the week she died because she weighed 69 pounds and we could no longer walk. You know why she didn't have bed sores? Because she was up every day. She was in the chair. She was in the bed. She was up. She was in the wheelchair. We went fishing. We took her to the lake. She watched us fish. She was treated like she was not paralyzed from the neck down. She had a bath, not just every day, but every time she needed it. And because of the level of care, she did not get bed sores.
Right.
Now, I challenge you that if you're in the nursing home and you're paralyzed from the neck down, do they come in there and sit with you 7 24s and do what you...
No.
You're lucky if you get one bath a week. In fact, I'll share that with you.
That's right.
If you have long-term care options, what are your long-term care options? You can private pay for a nursing home, in-home health care, or assisted living. People believe that Medicare will pay for the nursing home. Medicare will pay the nursing home up to the first 100 days. After 100 days, you either have to private pay or have a policy or have nothing and qualify for Medicaid. And you have to recertify for Medicaid every 12 months. And if someone dies and leaves you something and it puts you over the limit, you don't have Medicaid for the next year till you can spend down and qualify again. These are not things to frighten you. They're not things to scare you. They're not things to make you feel bad. This is what's going on out there that we don't know about until we are in the situation. We have to find out now, what do we do? It's a little bit late then. When you pay for nursing home costs, the state of Georgia, semi-private room, that means 2 people in one room, $6,222. A private room, you're the only one in there, $6,707. South Carolina, 64 versus 68. And why did I put Massachusetts, 11,000 versus 12,000? Many people, some of you in this room lived somewhere else, moved here, raised your children, they live somewhere else. You get elderly, you have to go in a facility, they want you close to them, you're going where they are. They're not bringing their job and family and start over to be here close to you or I. That's just the way it works. So if you go online and you Google your county nursing home cost, you'll find my numbers are a little low. Every time we raise them, they raise them. I thought if I stopped, they would stop, but they didn't. Now, one other thing, that pays for a bed and 3 meals a day and 1 bath a week. You go check me. That does not pay for x-rays, pads on the bed, Insure. My mother lived on Insure for 2.5 years. That's all she could take. It don't pay for those things. Thank God Mother was home. We didn't have to worry about that. So the cost is based on your county that you're in. Google your county. Checkpoint 6, legacy planning. My husband and I, we'd much rather spend the money we work for now, paying for life insurance and enjoying our children, grandchildren, great-grands, because that life insurance money, we know it's got to pay because we're going to die. Unless Jesus comes first, that insurance company's got to get off the money. So we pay because they're going to pay. And we can enjoy what we want to enjoy now because we know that's taken care of. And we know that we did pay the bills and pay the debts so that we're not leaving them dead. We have a plan. And the plan is to enjoy them while they're here, while we're here, instead of leaving them something to talk about, read about. Well, Grandma and Grandpa did pretty good, they left us a little bit of money, but the taxes got most of it. No, tax man's not involved in it. But we have to get off the money every month and pay, because we know the consequences, and now we can enjoy what we work for, and not try to have to save every penny. We're saving, but we can also enjoy some. The legacy we want to leave is the time we spend with them and the life we build while we're here. To take away from tonight, don't let retirement just happen. Consider how you may significantly reduce taxes, create tax-free income, protect your money from the stock market losses, lawsuits, and creditors. Those of you that are here tonight that have never heard anything good about an annuity, when your money is in a fixed indexed annuity, even a variable annuity, I don't like them because they're high in risk, they're in the market, they're high in fees, and there are a lot of hidden fees, and I say that on tape, okay? But when your money's in an annuity, it is exempt from probate. It does not go through probate. It is exempt from creditors. The nursing home can't take any of your money from the annuity. And it's exempt from lawsuits. So I apologize if there are any attorneys in the room tonight, but those ambulance chasing attorneys that say, he got me $500,000, guess who's $500,000 they got? Yours and mine. Because they will sue you if you're involved in an accident and you're found at fault. Your money in an annuity, just like Social Security, is exempt from probate, creditors, and lawsuits. That in itself is a huge protection around your retirement, okay? So that's our presentation for this evening. We do hope that you will take the time to come spend an hour with us. You're stuck with us for 1 hour and then you're no charge. But the truth of the matter is there anyone here tonight who is a financial advisor, insurance agent, or anyone in the industry? I'm not gonna make you pay for your dinner. Okay? Well, I asked that question for this reason. Truthfully, I don't know how to give a 1 hour presentation. I spend more time than that with each family. But by law, I have to say 1 hour free, because when we mail the invitations that you receive, we mail to zip codes. We don't mail to income levels, and we don't mail to Westlakes. We don't pick out people. We mail to whomever lives in that zip code. Our information is held off. So we mail to zip codes. So sometimes my competitors will receive our invitation. And sometimes they'll come and let me buy them dinner. And sometimes they'll show up in my office and want to know what I tell you, because they liked what they heard tonight, because they didn't know it either. Don't tell them. But they'll show up in the office, but at the end of 1 hour, if you go home, if you still have it, you look at the bottom of your invitation. It says, if you're an agent, advisor, financial planner, my fee is $1,500 an hour. At the 61st minute, they are now on my time. And I, by law, can charge that because I have 35 years in expertise to deliver. And if I'm going to train them how to take my business, they're going to pay me.
That's right.
And I say that on tape, and I'll probably get chastised for that, but that's okay. Truth is the truth, and the truth shall do what? Okay, that's our presentation. Thank you. I did go over a little bit. We are going to come around now and pick up the blue sheets. We're going to leave the screen up for a moment. I would like to ask you if you would, before you start talking, if you'd allow me to take the grace over the food so they can bring it out while we're picking up the blue sheets. Father Jesus, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the rain we've had and for sparing it this evening that we can come in safety. Lord, we thank you for each home represented here. We ask that you watch over and protect each one, take them back home safely. We ask that you bless this food that's been prepared, those that have prepared it, and bless it to our bodies for your service. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.